volume down. I couldn't hear anybody. It's my first rodeo. Okay, let's just give it a minute and just sink in. You're here by divine appointment, as am I. We're here to hear what we're here to hear. Say what we're here to say. So again, the invitation is if you want to type in the chat, what is your business? And do you feel stalled or do you feel like you are in action around it? So just let us know. Okay. Let's just give it a minute because, you know, I'm the same way. When I know there's a 1 o'clock Zoom, I'm like, oh, I got to join Zoom. And then it's like 1, 102, 103. So I just want to give it a few minutes, but please type in the chat. What is your business? And do you feel stalled or do you feel in action? And then we'll get this party started. Okay, Deb, thank you. See that? All right. Okay. So I am going to mute everyone if we can. Thank you for those who have showed up a little bit ahead of time. Let's see. Okay. All right, let's get started. It's 1:01. Lovely to see you all. So I'm going to tell you a story. Some of you know my story, some of you don't. I'm going to make 4 points, and then I'm going to send you off to a little business assessment so you can see where you are on the trajectory. And hopefully that will loosen up some stuff for you. So some of you know, about 2.5 years ago, I made a bold move and a bold decision, which was to invest very heavily in my business and in my life. And the vision was to expand our business. And I had a life/romantic partner at the time, and we were filled with hopes and dreams. And it was very exciting, and it was worth every penny and every painful moment of it. And I wouldn't undo it for the world because of the lessons that I was gifted with in that experience. So as you can sense, things didn't quite turn out in the business and life plan that I had so wildly put together. And that was about 2.5 years ago. About a year ago, this thing called COVID hit, which we're all familiar with, which was not a whole lot of fun. So at the time, the plans that we had for this huge launch of this new branch of the business, which some of you know was to build tiny homes and to be part of a micro-village movement. And it made sense in line with what I had been doing for the previous 8, 9 years in this business. And so COVID hit and put the skids on all of that. We had signed up to do a big event and kind of have our big debut, and we know what happened there. And then about a month or 2 after that, my father passed away, 90 years old. He lived with us for about 10 years, his last 10 years. So that was kind of a hit. And about a month after that, my entire business and romantic relationship just imploded, like poof, didn't see that one coming. Oh, well, there it is. And so a little less than a year ago, I was really left with what just happened. My entire world, not just from COVID, but from my family with my father passing, and my life and business and romantic partner plans just went up in smoke. To say, not the most fun year of my life. You all have had your own. I know what I'm talking about here. So what I want to focus on is fast forward 9 months. So from about October until now. Back September, October, essentially there was no new income coming in because I had paused this business, focusing on the other business, and had leveraged our assets and our assets to invest in the new business. So there was no income coming in, and now I'm proud to say we are a profitable business once again within 9 months. I had absolutely no team. I had no support in the business. I had plenty of wonderful personal support, but zero business support. And now I have the most wonderful team in my business, the right people doing the right jobs at the right pricing, the right arrangements. It's been amazing. And I'm happy to say I do have happy, satisfied clients that refer us out and they actually stick around. And so that's always like a testament to, I think we're doing something right when that happens. So that happened in 9 months. And the question, sometimes I scratch my head, I'm like, how did I pull that off? Because I'm not going to get into it, but I was in some deep, deep pain. I didn't see this whole relationship thing blowing up. So in pain, no business, not much income to speak of, and boom, we've done it. How? So these are my four steps I want to share with you. The first won't surprise you, because if you know my work, you know this is the case, is the inner game, the inner alignment piece. So when it comes to business, this shows up this way. I had to look at what business am I in post-COVID, post-implosion of my life. What is my actual business? Is what I was doing before, before this big, crazy Maine tiny home thing, the core business that I used to have, I'm in my 11th year of business. Does this still make sense? Is it still a fit for me? And I needed to update it, not just for my own life, but in the post-COVID world, because do people still need the services I was offering? Nothing drives me more insane than getting emails over the transom where people are clearly tone deaf. They keep slopping up the same old stuff, and they're not tuned into the fact that the world has changed. So I needed to get really, really clear on if what the business I thought I had was still relevant to me and to the world. Sounds like an obvious question, but a lot of us don't come up, see the forest through the trees. We don't come up for air, 30,000 foot view and reassess whether that's the right path for us. What does my design, my genetic design, say about my business? This is enormous. And a lot of you on this call do know your design, and some of you don't. You don't know it, you need to know it, because I discovered the blueprint, not for my life alone, but for my business. Inside that design is your blueprint for your business. How many people should you be working with? What kind of role should you be playing? What is your actual purpose, and how does that interface with your business? And when I got clear on that, it snapped everything into place. And I knew who to hire and bring in and what to let go of. And when you've got everybody in your team also in their right spot, the thing just hums, because I'm in my genius zone and she's in hers and she's in hers, and everyone's happy, and you can feel the energy of it. And that's all attributed to my design. What does it say about my business? So that's number 2. And if you don't know what this is, or if you don't know how your business can reveal this to you, we need to figure that out. Simple things like, are you meant to work alone, or are you meant to work in collaboration? And how big is your business meant to be in terms of who you are, who you're here to serve, and how you're here to operate in the world? All of those questions, we can get so caught up in the pre-COVID mentality of bigger is better, bigger is better, bigger is better, more, $1 million business. Let's go, let's go, let's go. That is so old paradigm. That is not what's being asked of us, and it's not the right fit for most of us. And we need to just stop and assess this inner stuff. And the last thing about the inner game is, and this is a classic business question, what is your why? Is your why the same? Do you still care about what you used to care about? So what's interesting in my trajectory is I'm sitting here talking about how to make more money and reignite your business post-COVID, after COVID. And I started my business 11 years ago teaching women how to make more money. And the trajectory I went on was quite good. And then I got into design, and then I got into the spirituality stuff. And I am back to helping women make money, which surprises me, because there was a phase in there where I was like, I don't really care if they make money. I just want them to be spiritually enlightened and feel good. And just recently, I'm like, no, wait a minute. We need to make some money. And money is shifting. Money is changing. The new money paradigms are really wild. In the meantime, we got to pay our bills while we keep an eye to the new money paradigms that are coming down the pike. So I feel like my why is stronger than ever. And it's been really interesting to revisit some of our old mottos and logos. I'm like, wow, okay, we're going to brush those off because it's still solid. So are yours still relevant? I've seen some of you go through some wonderful incarnations in your business as well. And it's lovely to see. And so kudos to you, those of you who have been reinventing. It's not easy to reinvent. Oh, okay, so that's step 1, which is the inner alignment piece. Then there's the outer alignment piece, right? What do I mean by that? Well, I love practical spirituality. I love teaching about, you got to get aligned here, but then you can't just stare at your navel. You got to actually take some action. You actually have to do some steps to make your business viable and to reignite it. So I have a list of 8 things, dear God, that I changed in the last 9 months that got the business to its humming sweet spot that it's in today. Right now, it's poised for immense growth, but I had to get all these chunks lined up. So the question is your business using this old stuff that I'm going to talk about, or have you upgraded? And I had to redo 8 categories. Hopefully you won't have to, but I had to, because apparently I do things in grand style. So technical. We completely swapped out our technical backend. I was using an old software that was new and shiny 11 years ago and was too expensive, too clunky, and too top heavy. I didn't need all that it offered. I needed other things. What's amazing is what's offered nowadays. Since I started, there's one-stop shopping for a quarter of the price and so much easier to use. So I had to migrate to a new technology, which I'm so excited, but that's a hard choice. Like, you know how many client records are in there, how many campaigns are in there, how many email. Yes, I know that. And it's time to change. It's time to be lighter, cleaner, streamlined. So we made the tough decision. And it took me about a month or 2 to make the decision. And then I had a 2-month overlap because I was so afraid of leaving the old. I mean, you build a business in one database, it's like, but we're fine. Technology, social media, Clubhouse, Instagram. There's so many shiny objects. I can't tell you how many colleagues have nudged me hey, you got to get in on a Clubhouse. I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. I'm good. In the 9 months, I've done Facebook and email. That's it. We have gone from the ashes to the place we are now with Facebook and email. You don't need to get shiny object distraction, please. And that's always been the case, but especially right now, we need you focused, ninja, aligned. And so you decide what technologies are right for you, and you thank you for sharing to all the rest. I give you permission to do that. And trust me, it's hard. Oh my God, all my colleagues are on Clubhouse. I should get on Clubhouse. I hopped on Clubhouse. I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, no, thank you. Not for me. We completely had to redo our accounting systems. So do you need to relook at the back end of your money? We had way high priced accounting, wonderful bookkeeping, accounting services, not relevant to what we're doing now. Again, kind of founded on an old paradigm, new paradigms. Have you noticed how easy it can be to bill, to invoice, to keep track of things? And yes, you want to enlist help when you need it. I would never say always just do your own numbers, but be conscious about what you think you need. Have any of you noticed? I don't have a website right now. We took it down because I looked at that thing. First of all, that website, I had brown hair. Okay, hello. I hadn't gotten around to making, new headshots, and it was just so old. And every time I looked at it, I cringed. So I just took it down, and I took it down about 4 months ago, and my business has it's grown. Now we are in the process of updating it, but take a look at, are you paying for that? Are you focusing on that? Is it even really relevant? Would you be better off if you just let go of things? I also, and maybe you will need to do this, I shifted my corporate entity. I literally shut down the entity that had been the back end engine, the S Corp that had been running my company for 10 years, 8 years. And I flopped over to another LLC, changed the name, changed the bank accounts, changed the tax ID number, all of that. But I needed to do that. Clean start, streamlined. Here we go. Because a lot of it is the technical aspects and the logistics that really need to be cleaned up in this new paradigm of clean and mean. But a lot of it is emotional too. So I just had to shut down the old architecture entity for emotional reasons that even predates my relationship with just this old kind of dinosaur corporate entity that just didn't feel like me. So that had to go. I mentioned I brought on team, but what I realized about team, and this is what I want to invite you to do, is I had been going out and hiring people outside. I'd been trained to do that. Like you get to a certain size, you go get a VA from a, whatever, or you go to the online business manager store and you hire an online business manager and you outsource your copyright. I mean, I'd been trained to go out and do all that. My team is hired from within. They are former clients. We've got 2 phenomenal team members. They're about to bring on a third one. My right-hand person is somebody who knows our ethos and our passion. And that is what makes this hum. And that is what's going to attract in your business in the new paradigm, the clients you want or the money you want, is the feeling of alignment. Gone are the days of flashy, 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 run to the back of the room, hurry or you'll miss out. That is so, don't you hate that as much as I do? And so we're going to retire that, and we're going to go back to basics. People are seeking connection, depth, wisdom, integrity, wholeness. And so every piece of your business needs to be lined up. I know it's a tall order, but I'm just sharing with you what we did over the last 9 months, which I look back again and go, wow. All right, 3 more things. What model are you using? What model are you using to make money? I spent over $100,000 in the early years learning all the systems and formulas and blah, 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 and the 5 steps, this and the expensive mentors. And I don't regret a dime of it because it was all fabulous. And it was where the business was 10 years ago. Internet marketing, do you remember? It was like instant teleseminar. There was no Zoom, there was no webinar jam, there was none of that. It was just instant teleseminar. And so I looked around, I'm like, okay, I got to learn those systems. And it was really fun. And we did well. And then I realized that those weren't a fit for me. And again, this goes back to knowing who you are. I don't know that I want a multi-million-dollar business. It doesn't actually feel like an alignment with what I'm here to do, because from what I see, those models are all about leverage, scale, and less connection with your clientele. And that works for some people. That doesn't work for me. Are we going to grow? Yes, but there's this mentality in the business model world that you need to expand at all costs. And the bigger you are, the better you are. And no, that is not true. There's a great book, some of you know, that I've referred to in the past, called Profit First. And it really highlights what is your right size business, and your model will reflect that. So I was following a model to build $1 million business, which I didn't really want. Because to be honest with you, the $1 million business owners that I know, they don't actually make that much money, and they have a whole lot of headaches, and they're doing jobs that they don't really want to be doing. So, let me rethink that. In this age of post-COVID, when we get to invent anything, we get to make up the rules. It's like we've got this juicy inflection point where it's our turn to decide. No one, because we can't trust anybody to tell us the truth, and we can't trust anybody to know better for us than we know ourselves. So you get to go inside and you get to decide what is your right scale, what is your right kind of model, how do you want to make money. So I've streamlined things. We have 2 offerings. We only take a certain number of people per session, and it works beautifully, and they're happy, we're happy, and we're humming along. But trust me, I mean, I was all over the map with the business model, thinking I had to, it's like, are you my mommy? Are you my mommy? Like, I got to be this, I got to be that. No, find your right size model. And of course, make sure that it's a model that will make you money. And so that's the next question. And the next shift is in pricing. I can no longer, well, first of all, I very rarely do private coaching anymore, because that's not my sweet spot. I know what my sweet spot is because I know my design. That goes back to the first point. But if I were doing private coaching, I could no longer charge what I used to charge. I used to charge $15,000 for a 6-month coaching package, and it worked, and I had clients, and they benefited. Like, it wasn't a scam, and it worked for everybody. But I can't do that anymore. And a lot of you know, I have a very different pricing model that fits me. And that pricing model is differentiated pricing. So for my higher end programs, I talk to each woman and find out what your divine right price is. And I know that this is a key to the success we've had this year, is because what happens is everyone who enters into a circle that we start is at the same stretch point. which matters to me because the work we do is very intense and very personal. So if one person's kind of taking it, that was easy to afford, and another person is just like scraping by to make it happen, they can't show up fully and get the full benefits of the program. So this differentiated pricing model works for me. And it's an exercise I enjoy doing with people, and they seem to enjoy it because it helps them grow around their money mindset and their money stuff. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. My invitation is to look at your pricing model. And if you're following old systems, just make sure they still work for you. Our more entry-level programs, it makes sense to have a one-size-fits-all price. Maybe I'm looking at that. I know a number of pricing models that are using, it's not really donation only, it's give at the level you feel feels right. So it's more of an automated, like, and you've probably seen it. Do you want to give 47, 97, 150? And those who can pay more, please do. And those who can't, it's fine. And so that kind of ethos is in the business world now, which is so exciting because it's not a hierarchical, authoritarian paradigm anymore. We've entered the age of collaboration. We call it heterarchy or synarchy. Many of you know we're starting the Starlings Village, which is a whole different project around the way for groups to collaborate and cross-pollinate. And so for me personally, to stand here and say that's 15,000 for 6 months just doesn't feel right anymore to me. And what's beautiful about this, I'm just going to share a little insight. In the last group that we launched, I had one woman come in at a very high investment level. And she said to me, but you know what I'd like to do? I'd really like to use part of my tuition as a scholarship for somebody who can't afford it. I'm like, perfect. Like I couldn't have made that up. That came from the collective, and it just thrills me. The last one that has shifted, I don't know if it's shifted, it's always been part of our lives, but I don't know how many people actually act on it, is tithing. And so I think in the old paradigm, yes, let's give money away. It's good to be charitable. It's good to make donations. In this new paradigm, it's more a rising tide lifts all boats. And how can we thrive if we know there's so much inequity in the world? And so right now we give a portion of our revenue to some causes that we care deeply about, but soon I will have our tribe, our clients vote on who do we want to help today? Where is our money going? Because none of us is alone in this, and we're all connected. And so that was like a laundry list of things that we've done in the last 9 months to get our business aligned and potent and feeling really good. And like, you can't stop this. It's coming down the tracks. Here we go. We're having so much fun. We feel lean and mean, and let's do this. Okay. So we talked about inner alignment and then some of the outer pieces. And the last two things I want to talk about, which is the question I asked earlier. And of course I can't read the chat while I'm talking, but the question is, are you in action or are you stalled? And this is something that you really want to discern, because there is time for action and there is time for quiet. There's time for movement and there's time for pauses. We've not taught about pauses. We get nervous when we're pausing. We've been indoctrinated to keep moving and work harder. And if it's not working, then you got to just keep at it and like nose to the grindstone. That is pre-COVID mentality. Post-COVID mentality is you need as much pause as you need action. Now, here's the challenge. Okay, like that sounds good, right? You need some yang, which is action. You need some yin, which is surrender. You need some, that sounds good, like on a bumper sticker. Okay, great. But in business, how do you know when it's time to move forward and when it's time to rest? And how do you handle the gremlins that make you so nervous when you're pausing and you feel like you should be moving? I'm going to share with you a tip that one of my colleagues, I popped in on one of her workshops last week. I thought it was fabulous. When you're in that pause, which a lot of you are, in that stall, and your mind is going crazy, take a piece of paper and write down all your worries. And then you know how we usually burn it? Stick it in the freezer. If you stick it in the freezer, it freezes. Like, you don't have to go get it out. Just leave it in the freezer. And I actually have something in the freezer. I forgot it's there. But every time I start to like go down that path, I'm like, wait, it's in the freezer. Whoop, it's in the freezer. So anyway, that's just a quick tip on if your mind goes crazy. But it is hard to discern if you should be moving or if you should be resting, being still. And what I find a lot is those of you who are pausing may need to be in action. But because you don't know what to do or because you're afraid to do something, you're pausing when you're, so you're holding yourself back. And the flip side is many of you are busy and you need to pause. You need to calm down and reassess maybe some of the issues we talked about today, maybe something else. And so just sort of open up to, if I'm stalled, do I really need to be in action, or is this a time to be quiet and go within? And if I'm really busy, take a breath. And some of you with a certain design, you might be busy, 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 and you know that that's a pitfall of your design at times. Do you need to just take a breath and trust more and stuff something in the freezer? So I want to have each of you I'm going to send you over to the post-COVID business checkup thing that I created, because just in answering the 5 questions, I just want you to answer the 5 questions. It'll reflect back to you kind of where you are. And then I'm going to read those. And I promise to email each of you my top level thoughts. Let me put the thing in here on what I think. Should you be pausing or should you be moving? Should you be reassessing the outer stuff, or is there an inner thing and I'm feeling is off base? And so hop on over there, take the assessment, hit submit, and I will definitely be in touch. There's a few of you who I might get a deep resonance with from what you've written, and we might have a follow-up phone call. But for the most part, I can just shoot you some email feedback so that we can get your after COVID industry in the right lane. Absolutely in the right lane, because that's where you belong. It's completely where you belong. Okay, so that's the form. It's 127. For those of you who know human design, I have the channel of rhythm, so I'm usually pretty good about timing. But let me look at the chat here. All right, and if anybody has a question, just unmute yourself and ask. We're a nice, intimate group, which is what I prefer. Thank you. My human design prefers 15 people or less, and I think we're at 13 or 14. 14, perfect. Exactly what I wanted. I am not meant to speak to 1,000 people. I'm just not. So, okay. Does anybody have any questions? Artist installed. Out of the box. Okay. Oh, this is some good stuff. Great. How do I find out about my business in my design? So Alana, there is something called the Gene Keys, which is a companion piece to human design, and human design, both human design and the Gene Keys can reveal your business blueprint. And I'm not sure you'll be able to do it on your own if you're brand new to this stuff. So I'd be happy to take a look at your things and give you some pointers. So if you go over and fill out the form, put in your birthday, time, and place. And then I can run your assessment and I can shoot you some information. So that's a great question. Let's see. Anyone else? That's a good question. Okay. What do you feel, and this is on the assessment, but I would just like to get some feedback. What do you feel is holding you back? You don't know what to do. You're not sure if the world is going to blow up again. Of course, Dee. What is it that's got you not moving forward in the way we want you to move? And you just type it in or just talk it out, unmute yourself. Because I am so committed to getting every single one of you. Alana, just unmute yourself. Oh, can you not unmute yourself? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my business and my life right now are on pause. It's very clear. And so what's holding me back right now is lots of doubt. Do I continue to do what I did? Because during that upheaval of last year, my belief, it's not in belief, my surety of that my service is needed in the world kind of got shaken because I was watching people, you know, even my strongest clients succumb to fear, succumb to intimidation and all this stuff. So I started questioning myself, am I supposed to still do what I do, or should I do something absolutely different right now while I still have time, you know, on this beautiful planet?
Great.
Yeah,
So
so there was lots of grieving. There was like my lungs are filled with grief, and it's you know, I help other people, but it's very difficult to pull me out of the darkness that I got in, you
So
know.
Alana, so I can completely relate. I didn't even talk about my healing journey last year. I just talked about my business, you know, what I did. I went ninja on my healing journey because I knew I could not build a business if I didn't feel solid in my body and in my mind and my spirit. And I enrolled in yoga teacher training, which was the best thing for me. So you can't build a business if you're not feeling grounded and whole. So thank you for bringing that up. That's why that's point number one, is the inner peace. So I'll take a look at what you wrote and maybe give you some, you know, hits that I get around how to direct you. But thank you for that vulnerable share. We've all been there. We all go through periods in life that we wish were not there. So I really get it. And I know it's 1:31, so if anyone needs to go, feel free, because I like to come in and out of these things. 30 minutes is my promise. I covered all my points. But if you want to stay and chat, I'm happy to as well. So, and I'm going to turn the recording off so that it's not, you know, it's my first time using Zoom, so I don't know how to do that.